2 million people in Nigeria are faced with worsening levels of food insecurity crisis. The figure is expected to rise to over 12.8 million. As already established, this is due to farmers displaced from their ancestral lands and increasing demand for food. What is the implication of these statistics for agropreneurs? That is, we've had young people should go into farming. From the keynote address, not enough eggs even. But yet, we have this worsening levels of food insecurity. We have this crisis. What is the implication of all this with regards to encouraging young people to take up agricultural pursuits?
Thank you again for yet another opportunity. I will have just make it a one-word answer.
Okay.
I think the implication there is opportunity. Opportunity for young youths, entrepreneurs who are coming up. The conflict between the headers farmers in Nigeria is creating a room for youth to see opportunity in it. Because whenever there is a problem, a challenge, just like so many people here have outlined, challenges are bound to happen, the challenges are bound to come. But what do you do with your challenges? Of course, these figures will easily rend fear in the minds of people, telling us there's going to be food shortages, there's going to be suffering, there's going to be death, and what have you. But I can assure you, for young youths sitting here this morning, this should represent opportunities. Because the problems are there. These problems are almost getting beyond our government, so to say. But youths can decide within themselves to use this as stepping stones to opportunity. As I'm sitting here, I can assure you that I am looking at opportunities in this crisis where we can bounce back, because we can create forums, just like one of the panelists said. A young man sat in his office and gave them a concept or an idea. And what is the idea? Music plus football equals to peace. Now, when you go to these conflict regions, you go to these conflict places, you will see that there are opportunities that abound. One, to make an impact in the life of those that have been run down. You can go out of your way as a young man. You make opportunities, you create money out of it. Because this certainly is going to bring hunger. What do you do with it? As youthful as you are, you use your mind, you cash into the ideas Kenneth is talking about here. I'm sure we have right in the internet, right on our phones, grants, agricultural grants. CBN has one. But if government one comes with politics, you can run over that. You check and there are agricultural grants where we can turn this to an advantage. Because going forward, youth should not fold their hands and begin to cry and weep that because our farmlands have been burned down, our crops have been burned down, we are going to die in hunger. Says who? So, sir, we can turn this to opportunities.
Right. Thank you very much for that, bro. I will go quickly to Mr. Salis. All right, and this question is not so different from the prior one. Considering the present state of kidnappings and banditry, what, in your opinion, is the way out of this situation? The first question was, how did we get here? And now, what is the way out of it?
Okay, I think we have a basic challenge now, which is of lamentation, like Prince just said. We keep lamenting. Are we really ready as a people? Are the youths ready to solve this problem? Because there is a difference knowing a problem or the existence of a problem and then the willingness to solve the problem. Agreed. At my age, yes, we can apologize to the youths for certain failures, you know. My son is 27, so definitely I know fit be answers. I don't pass answers. It's only my son that can do that. So now I could apologize on behalf of my friends and colleagues, for instance, in JTA, and say we have failed in certain ways because, truth be told, there is gross parental failure today in Nigeria.
Okay.
Gross parental failure. You know? And then we are experiencing heights of spiritual failure in Nigeria today. Yes. Anybody who tells you otherwise is lying. You know? And this today has made us breed a society without conscience.
Society without conscience.
Yes. You know, so conspiracy of silence. It tells you, it explains one of the reasons why we say society without conscience. Conspiracy of silence. You hide your own criminal. Or support your own criminal. You know? So, and then it's eroding, you know, this morals keeps eroding every blessed day. So we keep finding excuses. We blame government. We blame this. We blame that. We blame. How prepared are we to solve the problem? If we continue to have these kinds of discussions, today in this hall, how many youths are prepared to do anything, volunteer for just 6 months? How many of you?
Wow.
Volunteer. Pomfa, your own, you don't nearly leave youth. Don't come and talk. You have part of our orientation. You're prepared. That is why I can call you by your name. I can call Deza by his name, because these are examples of people that are, before he was able to get any harvest, you went through some, how prepared are we? That is the question. We Displaced Women and Children Foundation, for instance, was registered in 2006. But the very first funding we got from Nexus through Prince Charles Dixon was in 2017.
Yes.
But everybody knew Face of Peace, everybody knew this place, and we never had any foreign funding. What we did was we sacrificed by implementing our own ideas, and people decided to now follow us. He has come to Crest Hotel and taken contestants for free. But today, everywhere I see him, I respect him just because of that spirit of volunteerism. Our youths of today do not have it. And I keep telling my son, he plays the guitar very well. I say, you won't bring any CD in this house. Me, I will not go and give any DJ or CD to play in an event. You must learn to play music. I want to hear notes. I want to hear keys. I want to hear harmony. You should be able to speak to me in music. Not go and bring beat from one day in student and then create the beat. Then you just come and tell me, yeah, like the video. Lakbaja does the music, the video does the singing. For those who know, they should know.
Okay.
So are we prepared to solve the problem? The problem is solvable. They are solvable.
Thank you for that hope. Thank you for that shot of life. So we'll go straight to editor, Judge. Okay. This is it. Nigeria has a huge population of young people, and many of these people of the younger generation, say 35 and below, in what is popularly referred to as, there's always called a generational gap between the older generation and the younger generation. We've experienced young people venting out on the Twitter ban. Like, these old people don't understand that I earn my source of livelihood from this thing, and you've totally cut me off. And let's imagine that there are a million people who earn their livelihood from that and they've been cut off. So it seems like there's a breach in communication between, they say the younger people are the digital natives, while the older people are the digital migrants who are born into this thing, so we know it. So, I don't know, does this generational gap account for some of the challenges that young people in Nigeria are facing towards in nation building and even advancing themselves? What do you think?
Yes, it does. First of all, when it comes to technology, in those days, when we talk about generational gap, I give that gap of 20 years, because if you're born today, in another 20 years, you become an adult to be able to take for yourself legally. Now, the technology has greatly improved, so a lot of our youth, they have information at their fingertips. Then we need to take into consideration again what I said earlier and what Salis Bayi has just mentioned, our values. There are some cultural values or cultures that our elders have that we have not properly imbibed, so it's causing a backlog of a lot of things. Like, let me give an example. Self-discipline. Mr. Mark had mentioned it, Salis mentioned it, even architect Sule and every other person here has mentioned it in one form or the other. Now, self-discipline, so let me go back to that traditional old value system that existed. We're too much in a hurry. We've imbibed, everybody wants to behave like the white person. That artist, the poetic speaker, Prince, he spoke about poetry, eh? Really awesome, very educative. Now that is a problem. Some of us don't even know how many languages we have in our communities. Some of us here don't even know how to say the national item. Simple values that will help discipline yourself, then be able to appreciate certain values you will change, like circumcision, almajiris, because they're not helping, and girl child, lack of education of girl child. But there are certain values I think that generation gap should try and imbibe. So it's all about coming together to understand. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Coming together to understand. But there was a comment that during this, what you call that riot that young people got over and I can't really remember.
NSAS?
Yeah, NSAS. There was a comment that the president made about Nigerian youths being very lazy. That's evidence of generational gap. He's not really very aware what the plight of these children are. It's all well and good to say education, we don't have access to education, it's expensive, I can't be educated. But our priorities are different. Our priorities have changed. If you're supposed to be at the office at 8 o'clock, which means that by 10 minutes to 8 you should be at the office. If you are given a job to do, you should go an extra mile. If they say sweep this place, you should not only sweep the place, you should dust and do the cobwebs. We'll go an extra mile. It's all about personal values. And that's why we say we are becoming, a lot of us are parents and grandparents now. What have we taught the kids? A lot of the kids are growing up on the streets because everybody's looking for money, so the parents are not even at home to keep an eye. You know, so if we think about that, those are issues that.
Thank you much. So, Pimo, I know you're ready for us. All right. This is going to be connected a little to what Mr. Salis answered. Looking at our national pursuit towards the total development of the Nigerian youth, which human rights do you think are currently susceptible to threats? For instance, we've had young people say, it's our right to speak out, it's our right to gather, it's our right to this and that, and the present administration is not really taking us seriously. So as an educator, which human rights do you think are susceptible to threats, and how does that impact on our development as a people?
Okay, so human rights. I'm not a lawyer. Okay, but I think we're born with certain human freedoms, and maybe the most profound is the freedom to exist. You know, for me, I think I would say that the human rights that is endangered now, and the one that I wish young people could have, is the right to dream and to pursue life that is better than the one you have.
Right to dream.
Yes, and pursue a better life than the one that we have. You know, so this is what I think. I think that it's, I was reluctant to accept this because I really felt like for a youth day, the youth should speak to each other. You know, I know how it feels to be born here and to see that your mates in other climes that are teenagers are multi-billionaires. And we think that nothing happens here. We think that because we've been born here, we've been sentenced to being at the bottom of the ladder of humanity. But if there's anything that I would like us to have as a right to the young people, it's the right to aspire, the right to know that life as it is now does not have to be life, the life that you settle for. So how do you find this better life? First, you need to believe that it's there. You know, I've heard the question, the guy that asked, how do I get the opportunities in Canada? And I think what I hear him say is, how am I going to break out of this place? How does anyone get to know a me who lives in Jos? How do I get a place on the global stage? And for me, well, this is probably my last question. So this is what I wish we would see, every young person. I think this is the best generation ever that anybody has been born into. Anybody. I don't see technology as something that should hamper you. Like we said, you're technology natives. Like he said, instead of looking and seeing that there's going to be a food crisis, he's looking and seeing that there's going to be food opportunity. They tell you that in Chinese, the characters that represent opportunity are the same ones that represent danger.
Oh.
You know, so if you could look at life right now and see the opportunity, you would stop being afraid of what is out there. There's so many people, there are over 7 billion people. There's somebody right now in Asia who needs what you have. And he's not going to exploit you. There's somebody right now in the US who is looking for somebody with your unique experiences and your life. So the right that is endangered and the right that I wish we would awaken, it's not about our government. It's not about the circumstances we were born into. It's the internal prison we've put ourselves in. And if we could take ourselves out, if we could stand out and tell ourselves that there's a life out there, we're going to find it. We're going to find it, we're going to follow, and we're going to enjoy it. So first, the right to aspire. And let the right to aspire come because you open the prison in your heart.
Awesome. Well done. I really like that because for Young Man Africa, that's our slogan. In the way you innovate, inform, and aspire. All right, thank you really much for that. Okay, we'll move on. Kenneth, all right, you were really keen on the agriculture thing. So this is for you. What can the government do to encourage and help young people be gainfully employed using technological innovations? Now, that applies also to agriculture, not just the tech or the digital world. How can we relate or connect this to agricultural development?
Okay. One key on agriculture is title of the program, right? So like I said earlier, I think we should be mindful about stories and how we tell stories, and also how we read stories, right? So I think a lot of youth right now are, let's say, interested in tech because of the media has kind of like taken it as a bandwagon for it, really. Anywhere you go, you hear people advertising, talking about programming and the opportunities therein. For a while, I wanted to become a programmer because I knew of people earning $5,000 a month here in Jos, and if you convert that, that's around 2 million naira, right? But recently, I read a story about a project manager that's also earning the same amount, right? A project manager doesn't know, JavaScript, doesn't know Python, right? So how come someone that just organizes people, documents, ends that high, right? So a lot of people don't even know that the opportunities out there and you can access them. So bringing it down to agriculture, there's this lady called Indidi Okonkwo. She runs Sahel Consulting, right? And it's a very, very, one of the most important consulting, private-based consulting firms in Nigeria. And she specializes in agriculture. They run a fund for MasterCard in conjunction with the Nigerian government, helping Nigerian farmers with loans, right? So they set up something called Nourishing Africa. So anybody here right now can go online, search for Nourishing Africa, and if you're accepted...
Say that again?
Nourishing Africa.
Nourishing.
Nourishing Africa, and if you're accepted, they would induct you into their fund of training you or your business to revenue base of like $1 million, right? That's the goal of them. Because they believe that by 2030, the agribusiness is bound to reach $1 trillion. So, and I think again, when we have arguments or discussions, we run away from putting numbers or facts into them to sort of like buttress our points. So for example, the average earner in Nigeria spends about 56% of their income on food. Like, I don't need to tell anyone that, like, you know it already. If you earn 100K, almost 60K is going on food, right? But in America right now, like 8% of your income goes to food. So she tells you that there is an opportunity there, right? And one thing again about like money or getting access to capital, there is money in Nigeria, right? I did the correction of my question. I said, point of correction, there's money in Ikoyi, Lagos, but that's just a joke. So in 2019, startups in Nigeria raised over $400 million. Recently, startups in Nigeria, right? So these are broad term, but most of the startups are based in Lagos, if we're being honest about it, right? But it doesn't portray the point that startups in Nigeria, like Nigerian founded startups, raised over $400 million. So are we accessing those stories? Are we reading them? A very good example that always annoys me when I think about this story is tomato juice. So someone came from Harvard Business School, left the fantastic environment of Boston, Massachusetts, America, came down to Nigeria, worked for an NGO, saw an opportunity in the agri space, right, in tomato, precisely, and did her research for a year. And found out that between Kaduna and Nasarawa, they have a very good land for tomato. Like the land and climate fits it good. Because she did the whole research, like whole sample soil tests within Nigeria. She went far. This same lady used Nigerian banks to raise over 5 billion naira to set up her.
Nigerian banks?
Yes.
5 billion.
And Nigerian investors to set up her manufacturing plants, right? So how many of us are aware of that story? This is not in Nigeria, by the way, right? So there are stories out there, and if I want to bring something down to like what you as, let's say, a young person can do with your mobile phone, a lady was serving here in Jos, was posted here to serve, right, a NYC copper. She saw strawberries for the first time and was like, wow, it's so cheap here, right? And took a picture, posted it on Twitter when it was not banned. Posted it on Twitter, it got a lot of engagement. People retweeted it, people in Lagos saw it. And they were like, oh, can you help us get this, right? And next thing, she founded the grocery lady on Instagram. And now she has over 17,000 followers. And most of the pictures on that account, you can attest that these are cauliflowers, things that you get here in Jos. But she's distributing and selling it over to people in different states in Nigeria, right? And just from Instagram, there is no rent she's paying that I know of.
All right. Thank you for that wonderful contribution. Okay? You can go ahead. Applause. Okay. All right, let me go to Architect Suleiman. And the question will also apply to Dixon. Now, there is this. With regards to this rising state of food insecurity, what do you think we as Nigerians, the government, can do to forestall this decline and increase food productivity? Kenneth just mentioned that the earning 100K is most likely over 50% of that earning is going to food. Which means there is not enough. Right? And there are rural areas where people live on less than a plate of food a day. So what can we do as a people to halt this food insecurity? And actually, if a million eggs isn't even enough for surety, how about those people who are in the hinterlands who don't even have access? So what can we do to halt this decline and increase food productivity?
Okay, let me take that. It's going to be more than a minute, by the way, because that's a broad question. I'll try and make it as quickly as possible. I mentioned to you guys that we started with a PPP project with the federal government, where we took over a $1 billion asset. And we're basically bringing in agri developers into the Gurara Dam area. But other than that, we're also bringing other investors. We're trying to make it like a farming resort, like I said. And the kicker in the farming resort, apart from all the resort stuff, the hotels, the golf courses, the entertainment centers, and everything, is that we convinced the presidency to put a Camp David style resort on this property. And we're getting an additional, we have 8,000 hectares right now. We're getting an additional 15,000 hectares from Kaduna State. So that's going to make us over 4 times the size of Abuja right now. So we're developing a new town, but the essence of the town is agriculture. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to say that word again. I don't know how to pronounce stigmatization. It's kind of tongue-tied. We have to take out the stigma away from being a farmer. And for me, it's easy because I grew up, like I said, 5th generation farmers. So we've always been proud to say we're farmers. Even though we have doctors, lawyers, engineers, almost every woman will tell you first, because we're proud of it, we're farmers. Right? We own cows, we own farms. You know, we're one of the biggest cocoa seedling producers in the country, so in Mambila. So we like the farming thing, but the average kid doesn't like the word farmer. There's a stereotype, I don't stigma. I don't know what it is. Farmers got money. They make a lot of money. 1 hectare of corn will give you 1 million. 1 hectare of corn. So if you have 10 hectares, it's 10 million. So it's a lot of money in farming. So what the federal government is doing is that they're using us we told them to use us as a pilot program and as the first risk. Okay? So we're going to convert their asset into an employment opportunity for over 10,000 people. And we guarantee them that the guy that just packs up the hay, that's the grass that you feed cows, all he does, that guy you see on the highway just picking up grass, he's going to make it 100,000 naira a month, guaranteed. And it's going to come with a motorbike and a small house to stay. So once you do something like that, we have so many graduates that want to do fancy jobs, especially middle belt people. And middle belt people always want to go work in a government office. What has happened to your generation is that the government jobs are not there anymore. In my generation, everybody wanted to work for the government. Those of us that didn't work for the government, even some of our parents were like, are you okay? How are you going to write a check to yourself? How are you going to survive? But, you know, we did it. You know what I'm saying, right? So what's going to happen for this food insecurity, I'll make it brief, is that Gurara being the pilot program, our next stop after Gurara is going to be Kashimbila, which is 10 times bigger than Gurara. So if Gurara can provide 10,000 people employed with a lowest salary of 100,000, that means that Kashimbila can give 100,000 people employed. 36 states and federal capital, 37, divided by 235. That's how many dams we have. But we don't have water, we don't have light, we don't have irrigation. We have problem with farming. So now what we're doing in Gorari, we're telling the federal government that you can actually make money from these things. Just give it to them. You cannot give, government doesn't do business. Even in America, government doesn't do business. Government provides security, they provide infrastructure, and then businesses do business. It's the same everywhere. So what needs to happen is that once you let the average NYC guy knows that he can move to Mandela, and let me tell you guys something. I've been almost everywhere in this world. There is no place in the face of this planet like Mandela Plateau. It is this year, let me tell you how Jos is cold. Mandela is much colder. It snowed in Mandela, not hail. It snowed in Mandela, and it can get warm in Mandela. Mandela has everything. Mandela has the most beautiful scenery, and that's why the Gashaka Gumti Park is. Gashaka Gumti is one of the biggest game reserves in the world. Nobody has promoted it. It's as big as any in Kenya. So I'm saying that the opportunities for this food security thing is just a matter of now. I mean, this government has produced at least 200,000 jobs for the young people, for farming, and they have a program with NISAL. That's the central bank microfinancing. But how many kids are really take that risk? How many kids want to tell their girlfriends they're farmers? How many kids that studied law want to go tell their families that I'm going to farm in Mambila? So the stigmatization in the entire nation has to change.
Okay.
So that's
one house. I know it's getting really
David,
exciting.
please just
Okay.
2 seconds. Sorry.
Okay.
You know, most of you know APTI, right? It will shock you to know that every week, I say, quote me, every week, they slaughter 4,000 broilers. Every week.
Every week.
Yes. APTI. As a university, as an institution, 4,000 broilers every week. I have told my son, no, the younger one this time around, not the guitar player, stay in this your mama's poultry and get master's degree inside.
Okay. Is there employment opportunities?
When they consume one institution, they slaughter 4,000 broilers, birds, chickens every week. 4,000.
Okay.
One institution. You tell me there are no opportunities? But we take eggs from here to Maiduguri. From here.
You see, this is why it will look as if we're quite arrogant when we tell you, let nobody talk about there are no opportunities in Nigeria. It's not that we don't feel that people go through pains, you understand? But we know the truth. The truth of the matter, look, statistics is good, agree. But I always ask, what is the organic motive behind the statistics? Numbers can come, but there are numbers that are designed to intimidate you. For instance, don't tell me about all the poor things about Nigeria. What are the statistics about how many innovators you have in Nigeria? How many times do you see it? So I don't treat for numbers easily because numbers have motives. There are numbers I can give you and I confuse you and make you feel paralyzed. And yet there are numbers you can get that will also enable and inspire you to achieve further. And so for me, as much as I appreciate research, any research that does not inspire, I have issues with it. It has to be balanced. Tell me the good things happening in Nigeria. Don't tell me only the evil things happening in Nigeria. One of the reasons why most of us seem to be more educated about the evils in Nigeria is that media keep pumping, evil. And then you think they are very intelligent. They are not intelligent. It's deliberate. It's just to mess up the head so that you don't see the opportunity that comes in it. Like you said, true. Between 2019, 2020, Nigeria spent 22.7 trillion on food. 22.7 trillion eating. But you won't understand the implication of that numbers, except you understand how numbers work. Anytime you compare developing countries and developed countries, you will see that developing countries spend more on food. Advanced countries spend more on science, development, capacity development. So that is where the challenge is. So while there is food opportunity, I am more concerned, let's understand how this thing works. Last year, I opened a company together with a friend, Synergy Agro Ally, and we entered into farming. You see, while we talk about the challenges, okay, let me go backtrack a little bit. Between 2019, Yes, 2018, 2019. The stock market made on the average of almost, I think, 300 and something trillion. Out of that 300 and something trillion that were made, 78% were repatriated back outside Nigeria. Why? Because most of those who had that money are not Nigerians investing in the system. So there is this funny thing happening in Nigeria that I don't find it comfortable. You tell us everything bad about us, invest, take the money, move out of the system, and yet we are still the bad guy. No. That's the first thing. That's why I agree with Prema when we started from the beginning. The first thing an average Nigerian must do, deliver yourself from yourself first.
Okay.
We can give, hold on a little, we can give every solutions here in point, but everybody knows that development is a system. You don't just take one thing and think everything will work. It's a value chain that goes from one step to another. When you talk agriculture has moved beyond farming. Now we're talking smart farming. Now we're talking precision farming. That's what people are talking about. So it's not about how large the land is. It's how well do you understand, what do I do to this land, and this land will multiply. Go to, what's the name of this big shop? Owned by South Africa? ShopRite. If you see the tomatoes they sell there, and how much they sell it, you won't believe. But most of them come from here. And what pains me most time, you know who takes it there? Israelites. Not Nigerians. Now, we have potatoes. Who takes it out? We went to buy, what do you call it? Wanted to buy and invest in, what's the name? Ginger in Kafanchan. It was in getting to Kafanchan that we got to learn that in the whole world, Nigeria has a unique ginger that is better than anywhere in the world. Why? Because there's something the Kafanchan people do to their ginger that is just so unique. What do? They will harvest ginger. After harvesting it, they will bury it again for 1 year. Then it is after that 1 year before they harvest it out. That ginger is the most expensive ginger in the whole world. And what did I learn in the process? A very painful experience. What's a painful experience? Is this. Some guys came to buy ginger and they told them the highest producers of ginger was Kano. So they took them to Kano and they stayed in Kano. So anytime they asked for sample, Kano will leave and come to Kafanchan, pack sample, go back. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you that this is not just a matter of agriculture, creativity, no. First, free yourself enough to know how to play in the field. Let's be honest. I'm going to go very practical and call names here. Go to Fenigada. Fenigada control the influx of, what you call it now, vegetables. But excuse me, sir, it's not the plants, the people, the farmers that make the money. When you go to Fenigada, you bring your vegetable, you drop. The guy there in Fenigada will tell you, go. And then come back so day. They will decide how much is sold and how much they pay you. So to a large extent, we're not dealing with farming here again, we're dealing with managing the value chain. That's to tell you, the middleman, how powerful it is. Go to Yandoya, Yankaji, go to Yandoya. They are not the guys doing the farming of Doya, but they control the value chain. Go to Yankaji, it's not the guys handling the broiler and the rest. They are the one controlling the value chain. So, sir, it's not about working dirty again. It's about you can be smart, look good, and play the game. But you must first of all free yourself from that vintage mentality. We are just too comfortable telling tales by moonlight.
All right, you're going to make me cry, but okay. After my yeah. Okay. All right. After my
I just want to add up a little to this. Yeah, we're actually setting up a Glowtech Foundation, and the whole essence of the foundation is to enable this value chain. We're actually looking at the local governments to how make the locals remain in the local environment, because a lot of things that bring the locals to the city is because you enjoy lights, you enjoy clubs, you enjoy so many things here. So why don't you take that little to them? So we're actually giving them power. We're giving them mini grids funded by foreign partners, grants with us, you know. Not to really make money, but to help out as a give back to the society, you know. So we want to help them with that, to help with the agricultural system there, irrigation system too. Basically, our target is actually the irrigation system. Help them with that. And help them break the middleman connection so that they can actually make that money they need to make. Because the middlemen actually make the money. That's the honest truth when it comes to agriculture. So we really want to break that chain for the locals. Yeah, we hope that works.
Okay.
Let me make one final comment. I'll ask you guys a question again, because I used to teach also. How many cows do you think are killed in Lagos every day, are slaughtered for meat? How many cows? Lagos is the highest. How many do you think? How many? How many? It is 6,000 cows a day. Number two is Kano with 4,000 cows. So I've not given you a market of 10,000 cows. If I tell you guys here too, I can tell you where to go get the cows. Go do the research. A cow that is bought in, let's say, in the middle of the country, let's say from Nasarawa for 150,000. That same cow is sold in Lagos for 450,000 during the regular season, for 600 to 800,000 at Christmas. So I'm not going to tell you guys how to do this. You're smarter than me. Believe me, you're smarter than me. Find a way to sell 10 cows in Lagos that you buy for 150 and sell for 400. I'm sure you can do it. But how many of you are willing to be headsmen? You call us Fulani headsmen. We're proud of it. How many of you are willing to be headsmen? You have to be a headsman or a headswoman, because you have to follow those cows to Lagos. You're going to put the cows in a truck and you're going to take a flight if you want, or do whatever. You go do the deal by yourself, so there's no middleman. You go sell the cows in Lagos, put your money in your pocket, take a flight and come back and do it again, and keep doing it over and over until you get to the point where you don't have to do anything. You can sit in the office in Kafanchan and that business will run itself. So the opportunities, all I have to do is tell you I told you about the eggs. How many of you thought, why don't I start a poultry? We don't have enough chickens, eggs, or meat in Nigeria. So those are opportunities you young people have to just explore. We have already been doing our stuff, I just hang out in Jos and I get an alert. I mean, that's the reality.
Okay, well, I have that alert. Okay.
Sorry, I'm happy everybody on the panel has something to say about this, but my own bit is every single person here can start farming. Use a paint bucket. When you grab your tomatoes, get the seeds and plant, look after them. It saves you 500 naira a week on tomatoes. You can start with pepper. You can start with snails. I've started doing snails. Now I found some. They've been chopping some of my plants. I found these snails, I started keeping them within the tire and they're getting bigger. You start something in-house. Mr. Dixon talked about this victimization attitude we have. Oh, feel sorry for me. Once anybody scratches their head, it means I need extra help. Mentorship does not mean you're going to be hanging out with me, Sally's architect, to give you money or better clothes to wear. It's about your values. What is more important? Is it the way you dress? Is it how you eat? Do you want to get free money? We're so used to getting everything free. Everything is that. Nobody wants to work. Seriously, let me tell you, I'm a middle belter. We're about the laziest human beings in Nigeria.
Okay, below the belt.
Yeah, I'm serious. Let's call a spade a spade. I cry to talk about it, but we are so lazy. Now look at everywhere. Over 30 people here. There are only 2 people who have asked questions. You don't have anything to offer.
Okay,
I don't understand.
I guess we're going to that just right after
Please
this.
do our best.
So I guess I'll have questions. So straight into the questions now. We dive straight into questions. If you have a question, there's a minimum number of questions you can take. But if you have a question, please indicate so I know.
Before the question, please.
Okay, Mr.
I just have a little thing to add to our audience. Everything has been said here this morning. But one thing everybody sitting here, every youth sitting here this afternoon should know is that we're here talking about capital. What is really capital? What do we really refer to as capital? Capital is the knowledge of what you want to do and time. That's all you need to invest in whatever you want to achieve in life. Create the time and have knowledge. Develop yourself in whatever capacity, whatever you choose to do. If fact, I attended a seminar, and the person training us says, if it is granite you know how to sell, learn how to package granite. In less than no time, you become a millionaire. Believe that, and you can achieve it.
All right, thank you. We'll go straight into the questions, and we'll make it. Okay, sorry. Before we do the questions, the beautiful lady here, Odessa, she needs to run quickly. So we want her to do a book donation to a community library that is starting in Lantan. I believe I'm correct, Pomfa? All right, so she started already. Okay, so Young Man Africa will be donating just a minimum of 10 books. We wish we could give 100 or more, but we'll give 10 books, and Odessa will do us the honors. So, okay, who's at the desk? Just tell them to get the books. All the books.
Pomfa, on behalf of Young Man Africa, I want to present this book to you. It gives me joy to see a book presentation because our books have become our phones, and the art of reading is dying. And the art of reading that you are receiving these books to read, it gives me joy to present them to you. So on behalf of Young Man Africa, I present all these books to you. And I trust that whatever is contained in them, I believe there are various kinds of books, that they will broaden your knowledge, increase your knowledge, and make you think and dream of better things.
Thank you so much, Young Man Africa. On behalf of Further Radio and the good people of Baptist State, we accept this donation to our community. And our hope is that to have further available people like us in your community. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Let's say a round of applause for this. Thank you so much. I want to say a huge thank you to Just Town ambassadors. They made this happen, and we're indebted to them greatly. A round of applause for Just Town ambassadors. Okay, all right, now we do the questions. If you have a question, please just raise your hand so we wouldn't have to. Okay, what, 1, 2 persons? 3 questions? We're not lazy, are we? 4? 4 persons. Okay, all right. We'll start with Mr. Ilya of VOA, Voice of Nigeria, is it? Sorry, what? Voice of America, he has a question. Any member of the panel can choose to answer. So, Ilya?
You were talking about you try to break free from this environment, right? My question is, should we try to encourage them to leave these shores for the proverbial greener pastures? Every day we say the opportunities are here. My mentor that I've not met, Suleiman, says, look, it is here. Everything is here. All you need to do is just think. Everybody is saying. So, and everybody, youths particularly, wants to break away and wants to have a presence on the global stage, like you rightly said. I was in a bank last week and 2 youths, right, were talking about how they would have taken that opportunity to get out, right? That their kids would have had a guaranteed future and all whatnot. Then every day we keep saying for us, like we keep saying that the opportunity is here. See what we have. See, we have cows. See, we have land. See, we have. So what do we do? The second question is.
Okay, yeah, I'm so sorry. We only have about 6 minutes for both the questions and the response. We may not be able to take the entire 4 questions. We'll just take one more question after this. Any response, please?
Okay, what's the greatest, what do we think is the greatest commodity we export from Africa right now? Okay, some people would say food, some would say it's human resources. It's your culture, You know, it's because we think about these things and we think about, oh, they're mining lead in Wase or they're taking our forests and all of that. Your greatest export as an African is your Africanness. It's Africanism. It's what is going out there. Okay, so let me answer that. Am I saying we should move to other climes? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. What I'm saying is playing in other platforms. Don't keep it in here. So let me give you an example. A lot of these music artists are not Nigerians and have dual citizenship. I can almost bet you that Davido is a citizen of the US. Yes. Banky W is not a citizen of this country. Do you know why they're here? They're here because the dollar they make there makes more sense here. So what have they learned to do? They have learned to make the economy of somewhere else work for them here. And it's why I keep saying that I am all for the love of Africa. But if Africa does not know how to position itself on the global scene, you've not done anything. Okay, you have acha in Jos. The Mexican has quinoa. Quinoa is a grain that is also low, whatever. Why is quinoa now an international grain and your fonio is not? It's positioning. It's telling your story. It's singing about the things that you have. When I walk barefoot here, because I like walking barefoot here, people will tell me, oh, you're not behaving like whatever. Are you aware that right now there's a science that says that everybody should be earthed every day? That you should walk with your feet. Okay? What's happening? We back our children with wrappers, right? White people went and made pouches. Right now, everyone has realized that for the sake of your balance, you're better off with your baby here. So what's happening to us? It's that we have not been able to take the things that make us uniquely African that work for us. Our systems of family, our ability to take care of the elderly, the values that we were passed on from, you know, and we've not been able to contextualize them into the today's stage. If you're able to do that, you would stay here and it would work. Why is Eastern meditation, which comes from Asia, working in the West? Yoga is a chief practice. I was reading a book by Tim Ferriss. He interviewed about 200 of the most successful people in the US. I can tell you that 150 of those people were practicing Eastern religions. Is it because we really don't have what it takes to work here? It's not. Because we have it. We have climate. He has talked about how beautiful Mambila is. Why hasn't anybody gone to shoot a movie in Mambila? Why haven't there been books written by the people in Mambila setting it in their climate, so much so that the white person that thinks about it wants to make a pilgrimage to Mambila? I hope I've answered this question. So I want us to think about the things that you have here. What makes you as an African the most beautiful creature God has ever made?
Word.
And how can you take it out?
Highly passionate, and that is the kind of fire we want to stir up today. I believe we won't leave this program the same way we came in. So I'm so sorry about the questions time, but right now we'll just take one more performance. If you have questions, please write them down, submit them at the desk. We're going to table them at the JTA inner house meeting. We'll find questions for them and we'll get across to every person that is seated here. Just fill in the attendance form, write down your questions, and pass it on. A phone number or a name will do. So with that, I'm going to call on young man Tony Young for his performance.
Work very hard, they told us. Work very hard so that you might earn a place among stars. And yes, we worked very hard, but look at us now. We're monsters. But when these useless, big for nothing leaders of ours die, we cry, and they give us public holidays as if we mourn stars. Can't you see scars? An ordinary councillor in Tudunwada has more than 6 cars. And these fat pot-bellied senators and lecturers keep chasing our younger sisters. It is driving me crazy, so I might just get a gun soon, but if we all get guns, then we all might all be gone soon. I have heard tales of chaos and wars. Stories that touch even a dead man's soul, and I wonder if death will come thereafter. I wonder if life comes before death, or we're living so we'll die. I wonder if peace comes before wars, or we're fighting wars so we'll live in peace. I wonder, as I listen to tales of whole families slain, and rumors of towns filled with bloodstains, I wonder why humanity will strangle itself with its own hands and hang its children on the rope of hatred it is weaved with, ethnicity and religion standing as hangmen. I have cried to the heavens. But it seems that our gods have been slain too. And now no one is left to listen to the cries of Maman Malo, whose husband was butchered in his farmland, nor the pleas of Malam Lamido, whose cows were rustled at night, nor the cries of innocent travelers as they're killed on roads by angry mobs. I wonder if this earth is a big stage for humans to entertain God and his angels, or do they feel the pain in our hearts too? I wonder, because the earth has had enough of the poor man's blood. These days it regurgitates it even.